You are now listening to the Hustle Bone Podcast. This is the place for hustlers, where we talk about getting it done and tell the stories of those that are making it happen. So tune in to a brand new episode starting now. Hey, happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hustle Bone. I'm your host, Daniel Sneed, and I'm super excited to be here today. The vibe is amazing today. We're actually in a studio, and the noise canceling is just wild. Literally, like, it's just the crispest sound ever. So I'm trying to do big things for you guys, But so last week's episode, little housekeeping really quick, was terrible. I tried 2 mics. It did not work. I had terrible echo, terrible feedback, and I just didn't know what to do. So I canned the podcast version of it, but fortunately I had video with audio that was decent enough where I could put it on YouTube. So please, if you missed last week or you didn't get a chance to listen to it, just search the Hustle Bone on YouTube. And the interview that I had with Kareem Hayes, I'm telling you, it was incredible. It was a ton of fun. Kareem is just wow. One of those people. He epitomizes the hustle bone. 2 master's degrees, doing a lot of stuff in education and diversity. And so definitely make sure that you watch that, or you take a listen. You watch. Well, yeah, you can watch it because it's on YouTube. But no, super exciting. So today is crazy. My week has been absolutely just bonkers. So last episode, and again, you guys probably didn't hear this, but I told you guys about a course that I signed up for called the Authority Accelerator to help me create an online course for a program that I developed for teens. And so, one of the reasons I have not been heavy on Instagram and promoting is because I've just been really going all out. Oh snap, the computers just went to sleep. I think we should be okay. When you start talking, I'll send him a text and just tell him that, and maybe you can come in and check it out. But so I've been working on this course, and I've been just going through the steps and developing. So this week I have literally been talking to parents of teenagers, literally non-stop. And so the part of the program that I'm in is this market research. So you're learning about your audience from your target audience. But then also it's really cool because these people can then, if they show interest in what you're building, they can also be prospects as well. So that's super cool how it kind of works together like that. So I interviewed a parent yesterday that is actually a member of the course that I'm doing. So she's taking the Authority Accelerator for something that she's doing. And I put something up, hey, anyone in the group, if you have teenagers, would you mind, doing a market research interview? And so she said yes. And so, we did the interview. And, at the end of the interview, because I have specific questions that I ask, but at the end of the interview, I lay out what I'm building. And so normally I say, hey, I'll put you on the email list. And then, when I go into pre-sale mode, I'll follow back up. Well, she was like, I'm ready. Like I want both of my boys to sign up. And she signed both of them up on the spot yesterday. So that was really awesome. So a new hustle is like a new hustle is born. It's like the genesis of a new hustle when you get that first sale. So super excited about that. But she read something to me. I've read this probably like 30 times over the last, she sent it. Hold on, Facebook will tell me how many hours ago she sent it. 13 hours ago. I've read this so many times because I just really believe that, I don't know, it gave me life, and it encouraged me and it inspired me. I'm going to share it with you guys because it was a win for me. And, it's cool to share your wins, to encourage other people. So one of the things about this course is you have to make sure that you are, whatever course you're going to teach, you kind of have to be the epitome of what you're teaching. And so she writes in the group, because I shouted out in the group, hey, made my first sale, super energized, so on and so forth. So she comes on the thread and she says, congratulations, Daniel Sneed. If you don't mind, I will tell my side of the story to give you an insight into my thinking. Hopefully this will help you understand the buyer's perspective, because ultimately the paying parent is your client, not the kid. A few days ago, I saw your post here in this group in which you generously offered your help to members of this group. Then I saw your other post where you asked for help. So I thought I would help this kind man by doing an ICA. So that's the term that we use, or acronym for like market research interview. doing an ICA call, and it just happened that I have 2 teenage boys at home. I did not know anything about you or your offer or even your specific niche, however you say it. During the call, when answering your questions, I was still thinking, what can this person teach my boys to give them an advantage in life? I thought maybe how to be organized, how to be motivated, how to set goals, etc. Then when you name the 5 skills you're going to teach the kids, I was absolutely blown away. It would have never occurred to me that you can or should teach those skills to teenagers. And then when you started talking about my boys, you truly connected. You showed me that you understand what teenagers like and do and how they think. We talked about activities they like to do and how they already have those 5 skills, but they just don't know they could apply them in situations other than in gaming and texting with their friends. At that point, I was thinking, I'm learning those skills at the age of 50. I would be so much further in my life if I knew how to apply those skills earlier. So I was already sold in my mind, and I was truly excited about my boys having this opportunity. Immediately after our call in the morning, I talked to my husband, and he was sold as quickly as I was. He didn't even ask about price, and we are not impulsive buyers at all, with 3 exclamation points. It took me a few years to finally join the Authority Accelerator family. That's the course that I'm in, that we're in together. But my husband and I both know our kids, and these are the topics that we indirectly cover at the dinner table, and we talk about them casually, hoping something would stick with our boys. So when you told me that you can actually teach this to my boys, we were in. During our conversation, you impressed me in many different ways. You were very personable, smart, go-getter, courageous, kind, empathetic qualities to make me trust you. Also, the timing was perfect. My older son is just done with school, and what do you do with a teenager in lockdown on a stay-at-home order? You give them something useful to do. Oh, they're in Canada, by the way, which is still kind of on complete lockdown. So the decision was easy. Convincing my sons took some time, but I used my sales skills, and here we go. Congratulating you on being excited that my boys will be congratulating you and being excited that my boys will be learning skills that will give them an advantage in life. Thank you. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. So that was just I'm just literally I'm on cloud 9 still from that, and I'm up again just from reading that. Like, it just really got me excited. So yeah, you haven't seen me a lot on Instagram, but I've been working, and I will start to share more of that process. Digital content is a lot more work than I think people think it is. But with that being said, I want to introduce our guest today. So it was kind of funny how we met. So I don't get a ton of DMs on Instagram. Like, I'm not like this person is like, is inundated with DMs. But Stephanie, she reached out to me a few weeks ago, and I read the message. So here's what happens with me. I read stuff while I'm doing things, and then I forget to respond. And typically, if I haven't gotten back to you, that's more than likely what happened. And so anyway, that's pretty much probably what happened. I don't know exactly what happened, but anyway, she reached out to me, and I think I messaged you back, but then it didn't stick. But in any case, we connected, and here we are. So Stephanie Ray is the Accountability Evangelist.
That's right.
And I'm gonna let her tell you more about what that means and what her hustle is and how she defines her hustle bone. But Stephanie, welcome to the Hustle Bone podcast. I'm glad you're here.
I'm so glad I'm here, and I'm so thrilled to hear your story and that message you just shared. As you know, you interviewed me for the same purpose in your market research interviews, and I'm super pumped about what you're doing. I think it's a fantastic service to children and parents. So I am so happy that you got that huge vote of confidence. So as for the Accountability Evangelist, it fits right in because I believe that we are here to serve people. And if you are accountable, you do whatever it takes to be the best person you can possibly be. And that, frankly, is hustle. So It's a really good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. So just let's dive into the name more and like your business model. So tell me, like, who hires an accountability evangelist, and what does that look like? Is it one-on-one? Is it groups? How do you evangelize people with accountability?
Yes, great question. So the business itself is personal transformation and organizational transformation. I'm slightly more passionate about the personal side, to be honest with you, because what I realized when I worked in the corporate environment and then into nonprofit is that organizations really can't be accountable.
Mm-hmm.
They're made up of individuals. People are
Right.
accountable. So
Right.
I need to speak to the people to transform them through evangelism, and that will transform the organization. So on the personal transformation side, I do group coaching, online group coaching. Right now I have a 6-month group coaching program. It's called the Focus and Momentum Goal Mastery Program.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my signature offering on the personal transformation side. The other thing I do on personal transformation is produce summits, as you know, because I invited you and you're a guest in my upcoming summit about time management. So those two things are my main focus on the personal transformation side. And then on the organizational transformation side, I work with organizations to do succession planning and leadership development mostly, but I also do change management, risk management, and strategic planning.
Okay, succession planning. So that's like, you're getting ready to take a new position or retire, and you're grooming that next person to come after you, correct?
That's right, except it's even more proactive than that. I believe all organizations should have a succession plan in place, even if they have a fairly young CEO, for example, who says,
Right.
I love this, I'm going to be here forever. Well, you don't know that for sure.
Right.
Anything could
And
happen.
unfortunate things do happen.
Right. Well, and fortunate things happen, right?
True.
So that CEO could get another job elsewhere. So you never really know. And it's not just the CEO. I usually focus on the CEO and their leadership team and make sure you have the bench strength so you're always prepared. And this is super important, especially in nonprofits where I find they typically don't have succession planning in place.
Sure.
It's just not a priority for them. They see it as a luxury. They're always strapped for resources, and that kind of strategic work kind of just falls under the radar. So I take my nonprofit background, which I had prior to moving into entrepreneurship, and leverage that because I speak their language and I know what they're looking for, and introduce that process to them.
Gotcha. So how long have you been in business?
Well, I started part-time January 2015, right after I finished my master's degree in strategic leadership.
Congratulations. Air high five.
That's it. Thank you very much. That was quite a bit of work. And at that time, I was working at a nonprofit part-time. And so that's how this all started. I was really focusing on just the consulting side and a little one-on-one coaching. So I was doing a lot of leadership development. So I developed many courses and a whole curriculum on leadership development for supervisors for multiple companies during that time. And then over the years, I got more focused on my primary job and wasn't doing much with my business. So when the pandemic hit last year and it looked pretty clear that my full-time job wasn't going to go so well in the salary department, I said, I need to decide what I'm doing with this business. I'm either going to shut it down because it's a distraction, or I'm going to actually give it my all and see if I can grow this thing. So I enrolled in a group coaching program myself. I found a coach who's wonderful, and she does a group coaching program that I am in, and said, I'm going to give it 100%. I got my family on board. It's a ton of work, working a ton of hours, weekends, nights, you know how it is. Just to kind of make this thing go. And so I've been following this model of building your audience through summits and through social media. A year ago, I barely had a Facebook account. Barely. And now I have many social media platforms. So it's just amazing how much you can learn in a short period of time and out of necessity. So I'm really in a different world than I used to be in, but I'm leveraging all the skills from all the prior jobs that I've had.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I thought it's funny because like even with me, like with building Best Skills Academy, like I was layering skills on top of skills as I was just going through life, and then it's just like, wait, hold on, like let's put all these together and see what happens, and I did that in businesses, and then even now with teaching the course. So like that's just super incredible. So so we have something really awesome in common.
We do.
Ball is life. Ball is life. So Stephanie is a hooper. And so it's funny because when we spoke, you brought it up about how, because you were listening to the podcast and I was asking the question, where did hustle come from for you, or where did you hit that moment? You kind of shared that for you, what it was for you. So tell the people, where did you get your hustle from?
Well, I believe it's from the court. I really do. I'm sure it started sooner than that, but in terms of when it really showed up is when I was playing basketball. In my youth, basketball, I don't have to say this to you, it was everything to me. I played for hours and hours and hours. I know one of my friends, he and I would play one-on-one for hours, and my parents were like, what is up with those two? We weren't dating or anything. We just loved basketball.
All was life.
Right. We just would play over and over and over and over for hours and hours. And never got bored of it, never got sick of it. And it was just awesome. So my original hustle, I feel like this moment that I believe you want me to share, is when I was in a basketball camp. I was playing basketball starting in, I think, about fifth grade. Yeah, fifth grade, when I was at Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an okay player then.
Yeah.
Okay, decent. But I got better through the years, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. And my coach, when I graduated from that Catholic school, he paid for my sister and I to go to camp that summer in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. I don't know if that camp still exists, but it's a big part of my life. So, and my memory is very cloudy on many things, but it's very clear on this moment. There was great camp. I learned a ton. I really, really just honed my skills. But there's the evening that we got the night off. You know, we worked really hard, and they said, okay, you can have the night off. Everybody went out to see a movie except me.
Okay.
And the gym was empty, and I said, I'm not gonna go, because earlier in the day they had taught us how to shoot a jump shot, some of us.
Okay.
And the mechanics for me they weren't working. I was close, but I just couldn't quite get the whole you're suspended in the air, and then you shoot, and you flick your wrist, and just there's a lot going on in your body during that time.
That's a fact.
Right. So if you've already been shooting jump shots forever, you forget how hard that is at the very beginning. And so I was so close. I said, I need to get this. I want this so badly. So I said no to the recreation. I went back to the gym, did the exact same move over and over, probably 50, 60, 70 times. 3 dribbles, turn, pivot, shoot. And of course, the first 20, 30 times I didn't do it. And then the next 10 times I get it, like 1 time, and then 2 times. And I just kept going and going and going until I had that jump shot, which I credit for my success in high school, because once I got to high school, no turning back. I started every game. I broke a bunch of records. My jersey was retired. I loved it. And
what records do you hold?
So
tell the people what records you hold.
So my high school actually doesn't exist anymore. So
what was the name of it?
It was Ripley Central School. It's Ripley, New York, exit 61 on the thruway. So it was consolidated with other schools. So
gotcha. So
my school doesn't exist anymore. My scoring record that I set was broken by someone else, but I had originally set it at 1,076 points. It was a scoring record for girls. But I believe that I still hold the school rebounding record, which includes the boys, 792 career rebounds.
I love it.
So I don't think anybody got close to that, because, as I've mentioned to you before, boys don't box out. At least that's what I thought.
That's a whole fact. They're lazy, and they just want to jump over everybody.
They do.
And it's like, I'm getting older now. And it's funny because I boxed out. Matter of fact, Justin Ortiz was a guest on the show. And Justin is an offensive rebound maniac. But if you box him out, like literally powerless. Like he'll score. He scored 100 points in a game at the Sports Garden.
Oh my goodness.
104 points. But if you box him out, like literally, if he's averaging like 25, you box him out for the game, he's averaging like 10.
Yeah.
Yes, Justin, I got your kryptonite, bro. You already know.
It's all right, Justin. I mean, you're not alone. And the thing is, unfortunately for me, what that means is I don't watch basketball on TV, because they don't box out either. The NBA doesn't box out. They're all just jumping and flicking there. So I'm so fundamental about it, that kind of discipline. It drives me nuts that I cannot enjoy the game as a spectator.
Right. It's fine. I think I mentioned this to you. So I went to MCC for a semester, and I practiced with the girls team there. And that's when I learned firsthand that girls are smarter players than boys, because when I first started going there, I was just killing them. I could just do whatever I wanted, and they weren't slouches. Like MCC at the time was like a Division I, like top tier. Like girls were leaving and going to like the top programs in the country. So this wasn't like any slouches by any means. And so I just the first week I just destroyed them. But then I just noticed it started to get a little harder. Then I realized that they were doing they had picked up on my game. So for example, I like to shoot off the move. I like to, shoot off the dribble or catch and shoot, right? I like to be moving because of rhythm. So they started basically just denying, so I couldn't catch the ball in rhythm. And I was just like, yo. So then it was good for me, because then I had to, improvise, or I had to grow my game. But I never forgot. I'm like, yo, low key, girls really, if size and strength wasn't a factor, then they probably would be better basketball players than guys. At least when it comes to the fundamentals.
I
agree
think
with
so.
that 1,000%.
The girl, now not all girls are that disciplined, but those who are and take advantage of it, I totally agree with you. My sisters and I, they also play basketball. When we were younger, we would purposely find the guys to play with because a lot of the other friends that we had, there were girls, were off doing other things. But the guys respected our game and they let us play, right? And we were competitive enough that it didn't bring the game down. And we had a blast doing it. The other thing that I observed, we're also very high on academics. And I believe, court sense is no joke, right?
Yeah.
So, I graduated valedictorian, a very small school, so I'm proud of it, but it was tiny. But just to say that I used my academic mindset on the court all the time, always thinking that's what I loved about basketball. It wasn't just a physical sport. You have to think and strategize and look ahead and, pass ahead to someone. There's so many things. I miss that because you're using so many skills on the court. And of course, it's just so much fun, especially when you're playing with other people who are just as passionate about it.
Right. No, that's a whole fact. All right, so let's come back into now, right? So you have, this business about personal development, accountability. Where did you get that passion from? Like, what made you kind of go towards those subjects? Where did the hustle for that come from?
So I guess I would go more recent on that in terms of why I focus and specialize in accountability. It started when I moved to the nonprofit. So I was in the corporate environment and human resources for quite a while. And when I moved into nonprofit, it was very obvious culturally that there was a difference. And it took me a little bit to put my finger on it, but it really turned out to be accountability. And where that shows up is people were not having any consequences when they didn't get their work done. They didn't call someone back. The other piece of it where they were sending emails and putting a read receipt on everything. And if you don't even, most people probably don't even know what that is because it's an obnoxious practice.
Okay.
But you can actually, there's probably still a setting. Nobody uses it anymore because again, it's obnoxious, but you could set up your emails so that like you're sending me an email, Daniel, or I send you one, and I put a setting on it that lets me know when you read it. Okay. So that I can then say, gotcha, you got my email, I haven't heard back from you. And so I gently called out the leadership of this organization and said, do you know what that tells me? There's no trust here.
Yeah.
Because why would you do that? Like if you thought someone was going to get back to you, there's no reason to have this proof.
Were they putting that feature on all of their funders or the donors' emails?
So I hope not. I hope not, because that would be a disaster. But after, I will tell you, the day I addressed it, from that moment on, I never saw another read receipt. No, but they stopped because they got the point, but they didn't even realize it was a problem. And so there are symptoms like that there. So I took that and some other indicators, and I wanted to turn accountability into a positive thing because that word is so heavy. Hold someone accountable. It's like you're going to punish someone if they don't do things.
Yeah.
I don't see it that way. I see accountability as empowering, as giving you freedom and giving you the tools to be the best you can be. So I came up with persona, Accountability Evangelist, while working at this nonprofit. And then I put the cape on. So I have a costume.
Yes. Right? Look at her Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
It's Accountability Evangelist. So our Stephanie, I actually don't even know because, as you know, I'm not hanging out on Instagram a lot. But I think Accountability Evangelist is too long on Instagram, so it might be Stephanie Ray. But you'll see me with the cape.
Yes.
So
she
1,000%
has a cape on.
I totally do.
I verified that.
And the funny part is every time I try to take the cape off because I think the novelty has worn off, I get called out on it immediately.
Yeah.
People love it, and I love it because it keeps accountability light and positive and powerful.
Yeah.
And I took that with me as I was teaching leadership to all the new hires, and I kept that throughout. And people, even after I left that organization, I'd get text messages from people saying that they channeled their inner Steph today.
Okay.
Which means that they were doing something accountable. And no one can hear that word at that organization without hearing my name.
Yeah. That's awesome. I hired a coach probably a little bit before I met you. And so I hired a coach, and it's funny, since I started working with him, I've gone in a couple different directions. And it's, to me, I know what I'm doing because I have a rhythm to this randomness in my mind. Like I know there's a rubric and I know where I'm going. But to the outside world, it's like I think that I look kind of a little bit crazy. Like, yo, Dan is over here. He's over here. What is he doing? And so my coach, right? So the last time we met, I was gonna write the course, right? I'm gonna spend the week writing my course.
Yep.
So then the next day I sat down to write it, and I just looked at the notebook for like 2 hours. And I'm not exaggerating. When I literally just sat at the table just looking like, all right, I gotta write something. I gotta write something. And I'm like, yo, like this isn't it. So I YouTubed, creating a course, and that's when I found, the course that I'm taking right now. But every day, he was texting me at 11 because my time for writing was between 10 and 1. And so he was texting me at 11 because I should have been an hour into writing, and if I wasn't, then it was like, hey, get to it. You got 2 hours left in your slotted time. And so then I found this course. I signed up for this course, and the course, it was like, yo, don't write the course now. Write the course later. Research and pre-sell it first. I'm like, yo. So but I'm sold on the course because I'm like, yo, this course is helping people. I saw results. I saw testimonials, success stories. So I'm like, yo, like this is probably the better way to do it. But then I had the coach that I was supposed to, and I was like, man, I don't want to tell him that I switched up again. I don't want to, like, because I felt embarrassed. I felt like he's probably gonna be like, yo, this guy's a joke. Like, yo, good thing I collected his money in advance. and so I was like, I wasn't responding to him with those particular texts. So then he stopped sending them. So I'm like, oh man, he hates me. But we did connect yesterday, and I sent him a video, and I just filled him in like, hey, this is why I've kind of been AWOL. I have been working. I haven't not been working, but I just went a different direction. And I just thought that, and it's our own internal, whatever, our preconceived notions and just all types of psychological reasons why we just think people are out to get us and judge us. And he was like, nah. He was like, bro, I'm here to support you. So whatever you say you're going to do, if you got to switch up, as long as you're moving forward, like that's what my goal, or that's what my job is to help you do. So, it does have that accountability has that, I don't want to say stigma, but it just has that feel like you watching me or you like telling me what to do. So it's cool that you have found a way to make it light and make it fun. You know?
And I'm on a campaign. It's going to take a while because I don't think stigma is a wrong word. I think that's what's going on. So your example that you're sharing is, your coach, of course. So I knew that was the punchline. You didn't tell me that story, but I knew that was the punchline because that's what coaches do, right? Yeah. They're not there to make you feel bad about yourself. Yeah. And so what I like to tell people is, I'm not going to hold you accountable. I'm holding you accountable for holding yourself accountable. Yeah. Right? Because you're going to choose what your priorities are. Yeah. You might ask me for some advice on what they are, how to choose, how to pick, how to make sure you're moving forward. But ultimately, once you choose, I'm going to say, okay, so did you do what you said you were going to do? And if you didn't, what happened? Yeah. What got in your way? Things happen. And you learn from those experiences, and over time you get better and better at choosing well and following through. Yeah. I heard something before. It says, no one can hold you accountable. You have to choose to be accountable. And when I heard that, I was like, ooh, that hit different. Because, like, obviously in business and in your personal life, there's all things, in life we have vices. People have vices, like real vices, and it's like, yo, like I don't want to make this decision anymore. I don't want to really let this vice define me. And so it's just like, be accountable. It's not about someone calling you saying, hey, did you, it's like, I'm calling you like, yo, look, this is what I'm going through, this is what's happening, and yo, this is how I'm handling it, and I need some support to get through it or whatever. And you're being accountable. And I think like what you're sharing, and even with my coach, is just like, that's what was conveyed. It's like, yo, no, we're here for you to reinforce decisions and actions that you want. So I love it. I love accountability now. Yeah, it's good. Everyone should love accountability. And I like that you said about being accountable. That's more of an identity. And the other thing I want to say is, accountability isn't perfection. So you can claim to be an accountable person if you don't get it right every time, because nobody does. Yeah. But when you get it wrong, what's your response? Is it to blame someone else? Is it to make excuses? Right. Right. You might catch yourself doing that from time to time, but generally accountable people don't do that. And that's why I don't coach people who aren't accountable. I will teach people who aren't accountable about how to be accountable, but I won't actually take them on as a client until they are accountable, because they won't be a good fit for me, and vice versa. they will hate me, frankly, because they won't get the fundamental concepts of how that works.
So what does that look like when you say for a client, for you, when you say they have to commit to being accountable? What does that look like?
It's really somebody puts the mirror up facing them. And you can tell right away, because when they tell stories about frustrations, they'll either going to say, well, this happened and then so and so did and then this and then all these other excuses. It's immediate, as opposed to someone who says, I didn't plan well enough, I needed to look at this differently, the I instead of the they. And of course, it could go the other extreme where the person is too hard on themselves, and we don't want that either.
Right. It's almost like masochistic.
Right. Don't go that far, but it's still better to, the first place you look, you are the problem and the solution. Right. That's, so you always look at yourself, and it's very, very obvious to me, and probably to most of the world, who's accountable and who isn't. But if you're not accountable, yeah, you can get there. Without that self-awareness, you may not realize that you're saying these things, that you're doing these things, that your first reaction is always to blame. Once you realize that, if you're committed to changing that, you can. It's just another habit. And once you have that jump shot, you've got it for life.
Right. That's a fact. I love shooting jump shots.
Amen.
My friends can tell you that is the absolute truth. I'm not a fan of passing. Oh my goodness. All right. So, it's, how do you feel like, hustle, right? And even when we go back to the, stigmas, right? Because hustle, being hustled and being a hustler, it's had a stigma on it, right? So like for you, like how do you view like your hustle and building this business, or what is your hustle? Like what are the things you're doing to really take your business from being, this concept, this idea, to being something where you can, take care of your family and really, potentially hire people and take care of other families. So what does your hustle look like?
Well, it's really about my habits again. I mean, I think when I compare my hustle to people who don't seem to be hustling as much, it's how are they choosing to spend their time? Now, you do have to have time to yourself. You have to have recreation. You've talked in previous podcasts about how important it is to renew and relax and have that time. It's totally true. But you also don't want to waste a lot of time. There's a lot of, you could be scrolling on Instagram and other things for hours and hours before you realize it. But if you're disciplined and you decide, instead of doing that, I'm going to listen to a podcast where I'm going to learn something.
The hustle ball.
That's right. So yes, that's right. Things like that, right? You make those decisions add up, and that's how I've done forever. So probably most recently when I was at Bausch & Lomb, I was in human resources, and I was promoted to a position I felt that I wasn't ready for, meaning I didn't know how to do 100% of the job yet. That doesn't mean I'm not ready. So anyone listening, I don't want you to get the wrong impression. In fact, you should never wait until you have 100% of your skills before you make the leap. But
it's probably too late.
Yeah, it is too late. And what I realized, the job would be gone when I felt ready. It was someone else was going to have it, and other people saw something in me, and I said, okay, I'm going to take the leap. So what I did to get over the imposter syndrome was I started to read. Every leadership book I could get my hand on. I read tons of them, Good to Great, you name it. I read tons of them.
Good to Great is so good.
It is. It's so a classic for a reason. So, and I kept going with that. Then I entered into my graduate school program, which was, of course, more reading and learning. And I just could not get enough. I became a self-improvement junkie. So that's really what the hustle is. I mean, there's specifics about what I'm trying to do in my business, but what it comes down to is learning from my coach, learning from other people, how can I build this business? What's the best way? And squeezing every ounce of productivity out of the day as I can, and being really disciplined about it. There's so many tips. That's why I'm doing this Time is on Your Side Summit, is to show people how to do that, how to be more effective with their time. That's what hustlers do. They don't waste time. Right.
Let's talk about the summit.
Yeah, let's do it.
For you guys listening, I'm going to be a guest in the summit. I'm super excited. Matter of fact, I did get the email with the promotional packet and everything coming. And all of the different things. Wait, was that an email saying it is coming, or is the Google
coming.
Drive
the promotion starts officially the week of May 10th, but it's actually open now. But the actual event will be released the week of May 24th.
Copy. So yeah, yours truly was invited to be on the panel and be one of the speakers for the summit. But tell us anything you want to tell us about the summit. What's it all about? And the theme is, or the title is, Time is on your side.
That's right. Time is on your side. How to find more time and make the best use of it. So time management is a very important fundamental discipline of accountability. In fact, I do not know one accountable person whose time management is like a mess. I just don't, because I don't know how you can be accountable to yourself and other people if you're not using your time wisely. Now, at the same time, you could always improve how you're using your time, and things change. You get a new job, you have a different hustle, you've got to relook at your process. And so it's wonderful to go back to these experts who are from all over the world, many different perspectives, who tell you how they make the most of their time. And I'm learning so much because I've done most of the interviews already, as you know. I just have a few more that I have to record. And I'm learning so much. I'm already incorporating their suggestions into my life. And most people would say I manage my time pretty well. But there's still lots of opportunity to make it better. So I wanted to serve my audience by focusing on this topic and giving them a chance to kind of pick from the menu of all the different speakers and their styles and find what works for them.
I did something really gangster today.
Oh, yeah?
Like really gangster. Like it was, and it has to do with time. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
So, all right, this morning was crazy for me because I take my daughter to school. So we live on the west side. It's about a 25-minute drive to take her to school. Take her to school in Penfield. So Gates of Penfield. Then from there, my haircut is in the city on Clifford. So boom, I had to go there and get a haircut. But I had a breakfast appointment. No, I had a Zoom appointment at 9 o'clock. The Zoom appointment at 9 o'clock for 15 minutes. Actually, one of my parent interviews. So I had that at 9 o'clock. And then I had a breakfast at 9:30. And I met you here at 10:15, right? So everything's going smooth. So boom, get my daughter to school. Everything's looking good. Haircut, boom, on time. Oh, there was another. I had to make a stop at Wegmans. I had to stop at Wegmans to get something after the haircut before I went to. And I figured, so the Zoom meeting that I had, I'm like, man, where am I going to take this meeting? So I said, I'll just get to the restaurant early and I'll do the Zoom meeting from 9 to 9:15. And then boom, I'll be there already for the 9:30 meeting, right? So everything's going smooth. Haircut, boom, get to Wegmans, in and out of Wegmans. Boom, headed to have breakfast meet the guy for breakfast at the Frog Pond. So I do my Zoom call, and so the Zoom call ends at like 9:20. So I have 10 minutes between, the time that call ended and I have my next meeting at 9:30. So I'm supposed to meet this guy for breakfast. So time's going by, I don't see him or whatever. So I send a text, hey, I'm here sitting by the wall. Now, the person I'm meeting, I've actually never met in person before.
Oh.
Okay? So I've never met him in person. So then I'm just sitting there actually I was watching your video on determination. Yes. So I was watching your video, and so then at like 9:28 I started ear hustling a little bit. I hear a conversation and I'm like, oh, I think that's the guy I'm supposed to meet with. So he was meeting with someone else already there. So I'm like, all right, cool. So but I'm on a time crunch because I got to meet you at 9:15.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, so boom, 9:30 hits and he's like not breaking up this other meeting. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna watch your video, and when I'm finished with your video, I'm leaving. Like I'm gonna leave. So I sent him a text that, hey, I'm here sitting by the wall. And then, so boom, I sent the text and I sat there. Your video was done. It was about 9:35. I got up and left. And I got up and left because I'm just like, yo, my time is important. I don't have time to just, if you say 9:30, we need that to be 9:30 because I got other places to be. And so I walked out. I'm walking around the course. You know how Park Ave works? Yeah. You have to park on Berkeley Street. So I'm walking down Berkeley. I get a text. Hey, was that you that just left? I'm like, yeah, I got to be somewhere. He's like, come back in. So, I go back in. But what I did is I set the table. I just created so much value for myself and for my time because it's just like, I really have stuff to do. And I learned that people value people that value time.
Absolutely. People who have boundaries, they value that because they want more of that themselves.
Right.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful. And a big key part of time management is setting boundaries for yourself and honoring them, because you let one person kind of erode into your next meeting. This is a great example you gave. You were back to back to back to back. Yeah. You're going to let somebody down in that chain if one of those other people let you down. Right.
I felt like I just felt so gangster. Like,
yeah,
yo, like,
that's bold, here, man. It's bold.
I'm gonna let you see me walk out. I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast.
Oh my gosh, that is great.
But it just like But I learned that. What book was it? what book was it? Was it Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People? I'm not sure, but in the book, the guy tells a story. No, it was GoPro by Eric Worre. This is a book about network marketing, but he talked about his friend. His dad had a meeting with a guy, and at the exact time when the meeting was supposed to start, his dad was running a few minutes behind, and his dad like called ahead and say, "I'm running behind." And the guy was like, "All right, well, let him know we can meet next time." And literally, like when that minute was over that he was supposed to be, he left. And I was like, "Ooh." But then it really does put people on notice. Like, okay, so if he has his time up here, I can't have it up here because again, we have that much respect for your own time and your own self. People have to come up.
They do, and I'll compare this summit. So this is my second summit. The
Okay.
first summit I did, I was working full time in another job, so I had to do all my interviews evenings and weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to do that this time, and I was a little nervous, thinking, "Oh, these speakers aren't going to make themselves available during regular hours." But I gave them my calendar link, and it was, look, 8 to 5. That's what you got.
Yeah.
Not one person balked at that,
Right.
including the guy in Australia. So, which we ended up rescheduling for a personal emergency, which of course I understand that.
Right.
But it is a kind of a sign of your maturity and evolution too,
Yeah.
because you're going to put up with less crap
Right.
with your time as
Right.
you move along your journey,
Mm-hmm.
and you can afford to do that. And I feel more confident about that. So I'm still, compassionate about people's circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're accountable, then that's probably only going to happen once.
Right.
And so I'll give you a little bit of a grace period, but I'm not going to let that happen again. So
Yeah.
I had a couple speakers in the summit who signed up, and then they didn't show for their interview. I sat on the call for 10 minutes, as you're kind of supposed to, and then I canceled it. I sent them a note and said, "Hey, maybe we can connect next time." I didn't say, "Let's reschedule."
Right.
Because they didn't let me know ahead of time.
Yeah.
And unless they circle back later and say, "I'm so sorry, like this is a major emergency," okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But typically it's not. They just need some help to get out of their own way and manage their own time. And I don't want to be a victim of that, because, as you said earlier, I'm not teaching them that way. Because if they keep getting away with it, they're not going to realize that's a problem. They'll never fix it.
One of my best friends, actually, to this day, we had a heart to heart, and I'm sure he's okay with me sharing the story. But he had a reputation of just like, he's just super nonchalant. Just like everything was on his time. Everything was like, I get there when I can, and hey, I need a ride. So anyway, when it came time for my wedding, and I was thinking about my wedding party, like, I wanted him to be in my wedding so bad. But I was just like, no, because you know how he operates. It's just like, a week before the wedding, he'd be like, "Oh, I don't got my tux. I don't got no money." And it's funny because, again, like, this is why this would be personal. Because in high school, he walked around with more money than everybody else. But he always played this "I don't have any money" card. And so I knew he would do that, and I would end up paying for his tux, because now it's my wedding and he's in it, and I can't mess stuff up. So I made a decision to not have him in my wedding, and it hurt me to the core. And actually, we had this conversation years later, and I told him why, because he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I always wondered why you didn't ask me," and I was just like, because to me, all of that stuff, what it translated is just being selfish. In that, like, it's more about how you want to do things versus what I'm doing. And what I love about it is when we did have that heart to heart, because I mean, I don't know, maybe I didn't have the guts to confront him back then, pre-wedding, to make sure he could be in the wedding, to see if he would like level up. But it's one of those things where that moment actually for him became a watershed moment, because he was like, I'm personally, I believe I'm not going to get married again. Fingers crossed. And so it's like you missed an opportunity, like a once in a lifetime thing. And so when we talked about it years later, he was like, like, even when like you show, like when you, well, we had two conversations, because we talked about it. And then afterwards he was like, that was a moment when you told me why you didn't have me in your wedding. When I was like, like, I have to do better. Even if this is my personality, I still have to find a way to meet other people where they are, because it's not all about me. And so having people value you and your time, like, that's something. And ever since then, it's crazy. Like, like, he comes to all my kids' parties, like, because he sees the value to me. And so even though it's just like, and the free food, which I don't knock him for that, because I show up for free food. but like, like, he knows that even if it's like a 3-year-old's birthday party, it's the fact that, like, like, I invited him. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with the fact there's a bunch of little kids. Bro, I'm really inviting you to hang out with me because I don't want to hang out with these. Now, let me stop. Did I get too real? So yeah, time is it's super valuable, super important. So if you're listening, I definitely encourage you to check out the Time Is On Your Side Summit. Where can people sign up? What is the cost? What are the details of it?
Yeah, sure. So it's open now, and I know that you'll be posting about it, but there's a special link for you. We certainly would like to know who's coming from the Hustle Bone podcast. So it's summit.accountabilityevangelist.com/Daniel_Sneed. Might be a little easier if you just look for the promotion, but that is the link that you can use. So there are 2 free speakers released every day for 5 days, starting May 24th. So you have 24 hours to watch those 2 interviews, and then they go away. Except that you can see them if you buy a VIP pass, which will be right now $27 until the event starts, which I highly recommend, because not only do you get access to those 10 speakers, but also the bonus speakers, the 17 extra additional awesome speakers, including yourself.
Sure.
You can only get to if you buy a VIP pass. So that's how it works.
Ooh, I'm VIP.
Yeah, so that's why
I like that.
Yeah, so you're yes, you're behind a firewall. So you've got, in order to get to Daniel's interview, you have to buy a VIP pass, which I recommend you do before it starts, because the price goes up when the event starts. Between now and May 24th, though, it's $27.
Okay.
And that's for lifetime access. As long as I'm in business, you've got lifetime access to all of those videos, all 27 interviews on the subject.
That's awesome. That's incredible. I'm super. I'm VIP. You can't tell me nothing. That just made my day.
I should also say, the other thing that's great about those gifts is there are free gifts from the speakers, including yourself. So each speaker is giving something for free to the listener. So when you go to their speaker page where their interview is on, there will be a link to access their free gift. Could be an ebook or some resource that they're offering to help you out. So it's not just the interviews you learn from, but there's a lot of other resources you get from these speakers. So I'm hoping the $27 is accessible for most people, and it's an investment that's going to pay itself back over and over and over.
Absolutely. And I'm giving away a free gift, y'all. So show up so you can get my free gift. It's actually going to be. I'm pretty excited about it. This is cool. I want to go back to just like the hustle of how we met.
Oh yeah.
Because that was just crazy. Like, and to me, I didn't, because you were like, oh my gosh, you probably think she's a star. I thought you were persistent. Like, for me, I was like, I have to talk to you. Like, I'm like, after I was like, yo, like, I have to talk to her, because like, yo, she really, like, most people, like, especially when it comes to people, like when you're doing something like, because I've done stuff in media before, when I had my TV show Generation News and things like that, it's like people will reach out and then they'll just get to a point where it's just like, oh, I can't get a hold of them, and they just quit.
Right.
So that was just, I respected that, because I've done that, because that's how I am. Like, I'm not stopping. Like, if I need to talk to you, you have to see me.
Yeah. So you want me to share that as we're
Sure.
kind of toward going to wrap up? So that's great. Actually, I'll be telling this story many times, because you're the only person I've done that with up to this point. So as you said, I reached out to you on Instagram, and how I found you was through Dr. David Paul, Bold and Gritty. Shout out. Right.
Got the merch on.
I saw that you actually I met Dr. David Paul as I found his Bold and Gritty experience and company late last year, and I invited him to the Rochester Open Coffee Club to tell us more about it. It's a local startup community, and he did that, and everyone loved it. They loved the coffee, they loved him, everything. So, which was wonderful. So I've been watching and following him, and I noticed that you were profiled on Bold and Gritty website. And I noticed that you were in Rochester, so I said, hey, maybe you could benefit from the Rochester Open Coffee Club. So I started to reach out to you. And then I listened to as many of the podcasts as I could possibly fit in, catch up on the Hustle Bone. And then I pinged you again. And then you were on vacation for a little bit. So I'm like, okay, I'll reach out later. And then, but I also had my summit, and I had a deadline on my summit. I really wanted you to at least consider participating. So urgency was starting to rise. Like, I need his attention or he's going to miss the boat, and I don't want him to miss. So then, as you know, I recorded a video.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Message to Daniel Sneed from Stephanie Ray, where I'm wearing my basketball shirt from high school to get your attention and basically say, look, you can tell me to back off, but I really think we need to meet. Here's why. I think there's a lot of reasons we should collaborate. And if you decide that you don't want to do that, that's fine, but give me a call. And you did. So here we are. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I actually watched the video after the call.
Right.
Because I was like, I felt bad. And I didn't even read it because I saw the video. I was like, I got to call her. And then I called, and then after I went back and I was like, oh, this was like a video directly to me. That was crazy. So I was like, wow, I really respected the hustle after that. That was really cool. That was really cool. So our time is pretty much up here. Stephanie, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. I think that, you know, you've got something really awesome going on. I'm excited about the summit.
Me too.
I can't wait just to see how that goes and, you know, be able to, you know, hopefully impact and help a few people on their journey. So for those of you that are listening, you can find Stephanie on Facebook at...
I have a Facebook group, Ambitious Accountability Ambassadors, and I also have a Facebook page. You can find me there. You can DM me. You can email me at Stephanie@accountabilityevangelist.com.
Okay. And on Instagram.
Where, yes, whatever that handle is.
Okay. And I'll put those in the show description so that way people can find you. But thank you guys for listening. You guys are just such an awesome audience. I appreciate you guys. Please do me a favor. Share this podcast. If you enjoy it, if you love what you hear, please share it with a friend. Share it with your social media. Share it with your work people, your email list, all of that stuff. Shout out to everyone that has become a supporter of the podcast. We appreciate you. We can't do what we do without you. And if you want to become a supporter, you can go to the Hustlebone, or excuse me, you can go to anchor.fm/the Hustlebone, and then you can choose to support at $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. But yeah, if you like the work that's going on and you like what we're doing, definitely consider that. And oh, I messed up this week, so I owe you guys an apology because I was so busy, just crazy busy. I did not get to the Hump Day Hustle this week, and I beat myself up about it. But I'm here. We're making sure we got a show going. But I will be back next week with the Hump Day Hustle. So I didn't forget. I just was crazy swamped and bogged down with everything that was going on. But trust me, I'm in the game. Trust me, I'm working some stuff out. So this has been another episode of the Hustle Bone Podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining. Stephanie, thank you for being a guest.
It was an honor.
And we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Hustle Bone Podcast. And until next time, we'll see you soon. And don't forget, subscribe. And if you want to watch the show, you can see it on the Hustle Bone YouTube channel. And last but not least, if you really love the show, make sure to share the podcast with a friend. Until next time, hustle on. We'll see you soon. Peace.